Hello everyone, today I want to talk about something really excited for me because I have been part of the development and will keep working on it, and also because I think it's something interesting for .NET MAUI developers, and it's the Avalonia MAUI Preview 1, the first preview of a backend for .NET MAUI that allow MAUI applications to target additional platforms, really requested platforms like for example Linux or WebAssembly. And why at first glance that alone is a really big deal, the story behind is like it's even larger than just platform reach, and if you are interested in this, keep watching the video.
Okay, so we recently announced the first preview of the MAUI Avalonia that, as we said, is just it's a backend, it's a set of handlers that will allow you to run your .NET MAUI applications on new platforms like Linux and WebAssembly without refactor change the code of your application. It's an open source project. So far, we are working it internally at Avalonia until now, and we will keep iterating, improving, and fixing stuff. But definitely, it's an open source project, so any contribution, feedback is more than welcome. Here we have been working with Tim Mueller, a teammate from the times at Microsoft in Xamarin, Maui, etc. Now have the privilege to keep working on this with him, and also several other really cool teammates at Avalonia like Max and others has been reviewing, giving feedback, and helping with the distribution and other parts. So this is the project so far, and what can you do? So we have been creating a gallery where we try to expose and showcase everything available. So all the pages are implemented, so you can use the private page. You can, for example, use the navigation page for simple push, pop, of course, with customization in the back button, with customization in the DEM, with customization with, I don't know, gradients and anything that you can do at MAUI. It's already implemented, like modify icons or modify the title view. You can put something like a search bar on the top or whatever thing that you needed. And we have several other things, like, for example, takes like everything related with pop-ups from simple alerts to more complex things like action sheets or prompts, like for example, enter a number and of course capturing the value. And while this is deprecated, there is indicator on the page is everything deprecated at Maui, but deeply used, like for example, things like a bubble view control or this indicator is implemented. Just you will find it in a separate package that it will be called compatibility, and we will talk about this a little bit later. So let's keep taking a look to what's implemented. Of course, all the layouts are implemented. Layouts, we have grid, we have flex layout, we have absolute layout. All the layouts are implemented. And then we have all the views. I'm going to jump some basic ones like activity indicator to go to more complex one, like for example, border supporting any content with a huge amount of customizations around the shape, around the clipping, around the border with gradients, dashed and dash array around the border, and yeah, everything with interactions and allowing to replicate real applications, scenarios like profile cars, etc. We have implemented the collection view with all the basic settings like vertical list or with multiple columns, single columns, grid format, all the properties related with spacing, etc. Horizontal list, again, with all the possibilities around spacing, rows, etc. We have simple selection, multiple selection, of course, with events, commands. We have empty views with views and of course with templates, scrolling. We have store bar, events, lists with headers, with footer, etc. So mostly all the core functionality around all the basic controls, except carousel view that is still work in progress. Maps that I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, and I think that That two ones are the most empty pending ones. The rest are 100% implemented or pretty close in a good shape. Still, of course, we are iterating, adding more and more benchmark tests, and replicating and porting real applications and samples to Linux, WebAssembly, etc., where we still keep iterating, improving, etc. But the current state of this preview so allow you to port real applications to Linux. So let's keep taking a look. We have, for example, the graphics view. Everything related with graphics is implemented. So if you have, for example, a library using drone controls, anything related with that, with graphics, MAUI graphics, or with C#, should directly work. And then we have, let me take a look to some more complex things. I mentioned the Table View. Yeah, everything related with Table View is supported, even being deprecated. And yeah, we put that in the sample itself. And then we have more complex things. Of course, all the shapes are implemented. And of course, anything related with animations, transformations, anything related with gestures, for example, tap, double tap, dragging, clicks, etc. And yeah, drag and drop, brushes. There are several things here interesting, but probably the most complex one is shell. Everything related with shell is already also implemented. This is the menu. You can, of course, customize it, adding items. You can customize the width of the menu. You can use custom icons or set custom backgrounds like a gradient. Customize the backdrop with a red color if you want. And mostly the same happens with the rest of the case. So you can customize. Let me go back to the sample. You can customize several things related with the navigation, like transitions, roads, etc. The back button behavior, like this is the default one, but you can, for example, hide it, or you can disable the back button. Of course, there are several events, and you can implement search functionality like this, where you can customize the template, customize, I don't know, the test. For example, let me write something like this. You can customize the text, you can customize the placeholder, you can customize the font, icons, and several other things. But I'm running all the samples so far on Mac. That gives you an idea that it's not reduced to run on Linux and WebAssembly, but let's take a look to the samples running on Linux. So let's go to a Mac machine, and this is actually the same gallery that we have seen. Let me open any other not watched sample, like, I don't know, progress bar, and I don't know, image, of course, you can load image, have different aspects. You can manage the opacity, load from URL, feed galleries, running GIF, etc. And this view is also a deprecated one, but it's announced in the sample. But as you can see, yeah, everything is running. Templated headers, pull to refresh, grouping, separators, functionality, scroll, etc., etc. And what else will be interesting to showcase? I'm going to talk about Essentials a little later. So maybe we can showcase also things like swipe view. So everything like, for example, swipe gestures and more complicated behaviors are also implemented. That gives you the possibility to run the .NET MAUI applications on Linux and Mac, but also give you other powerful concept that is the drone concept. .NET MAUI it's an abstraction that maps their controls to native controls, and this gives you the possibility to map from the abstraction to drone controls using Skiasha or other backend, drone backend using Avalonia. This is really, really interesting because can give you not only new platform but also consistency and exactly the same looking in different platforms. How this works, how this is implemented. Well, there is Avalonia Controls MAUI project. It's open source where you can find all the handlers, not really complex because by naming you can find anything. So the box handlers, carousel view handler, all the handlers are available here. So let's take a look, for example, to the button handler. We use the same architecture and everything used so far by MAUI. So we use the view handler mapping from the abstraction to a platform view. And then we have the mapper mapping any of the properties to, in this case, a Avalonia control property. If we go to any of these extension methods, we use public extension methods that you can also use in case you want to override, try to keep everything documented and as clean, as simple as possible. This is how works, but then how you can use it today in your application. You have a .NET MAUI application and want to run it on Linux. What do you need to do? So in the repo, we have already things. First of all, the project works with a Nugget package, don't require any specific workload, and to work on desktop on Linux, you need to use this package. And then remember that I mentioned that we still implemented deprecated or obsolete MAUI controls like list view, frame, or table view. If you want to use that controls, you need to use this package. And also I mentioned it here earlier that anything related with graphics and Skia Sharp will work, and that's mostly because we implemented a handler to manage Skia Sharp and MAUI graphics. MAUI graphics is already available on the core library, while we have a specific library to work with Skiashark in case you don't use it and don't want to add the dependency to Skiashark because we split it in a separate one. So these are the Nugget packets. So the only thing that you need to do is add a reference. And then we have documentation to explain how to config and do the setup and the architecture, how to build the project in case you want to contribute, etc. Of course, the blog post also exposes it. You need to create or open up .NET MAUI applications at the Nugget packet that we have already seen. Use .NET 11 because all this effort will be completed with the release of .NET 11. We are going to keep iterating from now on until the release of .NET 11 GA. So you need to use the .NET 11 target framework, and in the MAUI builder, use the extension method, use Avalonia. And just that. With that, just run and you can target Linux. If you want a more detailed explanation, you can follow the config and setup where we still explain the use of Avalonia and with more details about how you can configure some parameters to work with desktop or with WebAssembly. But also there are some information about other extension methods that we already have and you can use. For example, if you want to use the compatibility Nugget package, you need to initialize it with the use Avalonia compatibility extension method. Just that's all. And I mentioned it here that I will talk about the sentence later. We have implemented the core basic functionality, mostly based on the device and media picker to allow you to get information about some device data and be able to pick files or take screenshots, etc. So core functionality that we thought that was important for the first preview, and to use these essential methods that also are implemented and will run and work on WebAssembly and Linux. You need to use the use Avalonia Essentials extension method. So that's mostly how you can run all the samples. And while we was creating this, one of the main goals was give value to the .NET ecosystem and improve .NET MAUI, allowing to use drone controls, get consistency and access to new platforms like, for example, Linux and web. But also at the same time, we have been reviewing deeply Avalonia and we have been improving it with PRs like this one and other ones related. So this includes a page time navigation API where we implemented things like drawer page to display, left menu where you can put it in any place, left, top, right button, whatever, like we can see here. And we have been creating several showcase replicating some real applications. You can see some really nice examples using tabs, using flyout, using command bars, or using carousel, or even adding new controls like a page to indicate the carousel position, etc. So definitely we have been at the same time that we implement this discovering and analyzing where Avalonia can improve based on this effort. So this is a nice win for .NET MAUI developers, but also a really nice win for Avalonia developers while we keep improving more and more and adding more and more functionality. And going back, we have seen recently how we can get an existing application running on Linux or web. So let's take a deep look. So I have here, for example, Aloha AI. So this is a nice project created by Jakub that has been helping from several times ago now to the Maui project and the Maui ecosystem. And he has created this nice project, mostly testing how far can alive with agents, AI agents, and LLM models to create complex applications, mixing navigation and animations and more stuff. So we have to take this example, use Avalonia app, use Avalonia Essentials, added the reference to the project in the dependencies with the Nugget package, and we have it running on Linux. So let's take a look to it on Linux. Okay, so I have several samples here. Let's start by Aloha AI. So if this example is exactly the same. So we have here the initial onboarding, enter a name. Oops, Majus is wrong here. Well, still wrong. Okay, fix it. And yeah, we have that slide up animation. We have the tags working. We can use get all the content, scroll, navigate, and this allow you to play with AI, agentic AI knowledge, and do some learning path tests, etc. It's an interesting application. Of course, everything related with navigation, customizing headers, back button, etc. It's already implemented, and something similar happened with the tabs usage on top and also on bottom. We have done the same with several other samples. So, for example, we have Maui Planet from the community where you can tap Explore and you can open the menu that have an animation, navigate to any planet, and you can see match and navigate back, etc. Then we have maps because remember that we implemented a handler to get Skia Sharp running now in this first preview, and that allow us to use controls like MapsUI directly with the MapsUI MAUI controls that internally use Skia, and yeah, you can get that running on Linux easily. We have more showcase. I especially love this one because maybe it's because one of my libraries, but yeah, you can get running controls. These are a suite of several controls, and you can get that running directly on Linux without changing any code offline, mostly because it's using drone controls using MAUI graphics. And because the MAUI graphics handler is implemented, we can get that running. This MAUI converter is a small one where we created at the beginning. It's interesting because allow you to convert between unit types that at UI it's not complex. It's most interesting this one that is one of the first samples from MAUI. I think that released it with NET 6 a long time ago. And yeah, it's also available. And we had the famous game that with a lot of animations, transitions, etc. That yeah, we also supported, and also we ported the conference app, my conference with yeah, all the sessions, speakers, and about etc. It's an application from the Maui Day, and yeah, we get that already running perfectly on Linux, so you can see all the details, make favorites, and do anything that was expected with the application. So that's the main goal, allow you to port easily Maui applications to Linux and web. But what's the status and what's next? So let's go to the repo where you can find a couple of interesting files, status and status essentials. Here you can see control by control the implementation tracking. So you can see, for example, that carousel is not implemented. Why? Well, it's interesting. It's because we are, like we showcased with other PRs before, improving the carousel control at Avalonia, adding gesture support, loops, and several other functionality. And because that, the carousel view is still not implemented, but yeah, you can see things like collection view and editor. So a lot of implementations from entry. The only thing is pending is still check enable. So you can see here all the details, but mostly is what we already mentioned previously. And also, we have another table to implement everything related with MAUI Essentials. But of course, as we have seen, there are several pending implementations yet, so this still need work to move on. The work keeps moving on. Like for example, here are more Essentials APIs, like a battery device info. It's coming. Pending properties like test tip to enable, HTML content in labels. All this PR is keep iterating in, performance. We have several different types of tests, unit tests, render tests, rendering any match and comparing with a reference, but they also have a benchmark. And we have benchmarks about everything important like navigation, initialization, shell, navigation page, collection view, scrolling, and other important details like grouping, adding items, etc. So we keep iterating and improving. And what are the next steps? Well, it's interesting to see the looking ahead of the blog post, but mostly, yeah, we will keep iterating, improving, and adding pending gaps at the controls core. You can expect probably upcoming the carousel and other controls. Also, a lot of implementations around MAUI Essentials, mostly because it's where we have more gaps, it's where we are going to jump in closely. And also, we are reviewing everything related with the interoperability to embed, for example, Avalonia controls directly in MAUI applications. Also, make the life easier to developers that want to play with drone and native controls and manage their handlers in a easier way. We are playing with different concepts and ideas that we really want to make really solid, consistent, and delightful to play and work with it. So that's all for now. A good summary of the first release of MAUI Avalonia preview. First preview. I'm really excited about this and really want to see what developers can build with it. So if you port your applications or have any question, doubts, etc., please ping me, ping us. We are excited to see what you can build with this.
Okay, we reached the end of the video. I really hope this has been something definitely worth watching closely. And if you are interested in keep learning or iterating around this concept, please let me know. Leave your comments and your feedback in the comments. And we can keep iterating with development diaries, watching the evolution, next steps, or we can spend some videos just porting applications, existing applications, MAUI applications to Linux. So see you on upcoming videos. Bye.